going on, y'all? It's your boy KC Fowler, one half of the Foul Language Podcast. If y'all haven't checked that out yet, go and check it out because you're missing out. I'm bringing something a little new to y'all this time. You know, a couple months ago, I was sitting there watching one of my shows, Band of Brothers, Generation Kill, something like that. The Pacific, something, I don't remember. But I realized there's not too many depiction of melanin warriors. You got your 300s, you got your brave hearts and things like that, but there's really nothing really depicting us as far as Hollywood and everything like that goes. History books, it really doesn't say too much. So I decided to go ahead and bring some of our melanin warriors to light with this new podcast here that I'm dropping. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our first melanin warrior, Yasuke. Now during the Sengoku period, Yasuke came to Japan around 1579 with the Jesuit missionaries as a slave. Now this guy was clear about 6'2" and clearly stood like around 14 inches taller than your average Japanese person in that era. And it wasn't until 1581 when he caught the attention of a prominent warlord, or daimyo is what they called him in Japan, Nobunaga Oda. Now, after hearing about this, his size, his skin, I mean, he was just completely interested, wanted to check this guy out. A lot of people considered Yasuke as a deity because of his skin color, and the statues over there at that time, you know, the Buddha and things like that, they were black, they were melanated in the color. So Nobunaga was extremely interested. After a while, Nobunaga actually brought Yasuke into his service. Now, the first thing he did was have his attendants wash off the black ink all over his skin. So they scrubbed, and realized it wasn't coming off. So Nobunaga figured, okay, yeah, this is a deity. You know what I'm saying? He's from the heavens or whatnot. So he brought him in as a bodyguard, and you know, while he was Nobunaga's bodyguard, people would just clamor over themselves, you know, damn near riot to get a glimpse of this guy. You know what I'm saying? Causing a real big spectacle or whatever. Eventually, after a while, Yasuke actually gained the prestigious title of samurai. He became a samurai and fought in many battles. The Battle of Iga, I'm really not sure how to pronounce it, but you know, and he also fought against the Takeda. Now, as far as his particular his own what's the word I'm looking for? His own accolades on the battlefield weren't really mentioned, but the fact that Nobunaga won both of those wars, so he must have did something right. You know what I'm saying? He just sit there like, oh, I don't know what to do. He actually did something. So after that, you know, several years after all those battles, Nobunaga almost what's the word I'm looking for? He almost took control of all of Japan when he was betrayed by one of his most closest retainers, Mitsuhide. Now, after he was betrayed by Mitsuhide, Nobunaga suffered defeat and he committed seppuku. For everybody who don't know what seppuku is pretty much the how Japanese dealt with failure or losing a battle, and seppuku is pretty much suicide, basically. You know, they take their dagger. You know, sometimes they'll just stab themselves in the abdomen. Sometimes they'll drag it across and just cut. You know, bring all their guts out and everything like that. And sometimes they also had help with seppuku, where they have somebody as they stab, somebody's chopping their head off. So Nobunaga committed seppuku, and following his defeat and his seppuku, Yasuke tried to link up with Nobukatsu, which is Nobunaga's son. Upon reaching their castle, he was ambushed, and they were ultimately defeated. And Nobukatsu also committed seppuku as well. But Yasuke did not commit seppuku, and the reason it varies. They said because he wasn't Japanese, that's why he didn't commit seppuku, or he just didn't understand the whole concept of what he was supposed to do as a samurai when he faced defeat. So instead of committing seppuku, he just offered up his sword. And after that, he pretty much fell off the map. You know what I mean? The actual truth of Yasuke varies from person to person, from history book to every other account in history and people who doing the research on this gentleman, because it's a real fascinating story. But he originally fell off the map, and the speculation on who he was, how he did things, pictures, everything like that is, like I said, it's pure speculation. But the truth of the matter is he was a melanin warrior and he was a samurai. And we had to start off this episode, the very first episode of Melanin Warriors podcast, mentioning Yasuke, the first melanin samurai. And y'all can also check out the animated series on April the 29th on Netflix, which is another depiction of how awesome Yasuke was. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 1 of the Melanin Warriors podcast. This your boy KC Fowler. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, share, all that other stuff. Also check out the Foul Language podcast and everything like that. And always remember, either you're gonna stand for something or you're gonna fall for anything. And I'm out.